Living and Loving Life's podcast is to help people find their balance spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and socially. Listeners will have a positive mindset, renewed outlook for themselves, their future, and believe they are beautifully made inside and out. Listeners will shine and be an example to others as they live fully, completely with no barriers, no burdens, and no regrets.
Welcome back, everybody, to Motivational Mondays with Living and Loving Life podcast. We have an amazing story today, or guest, and we have Miss Bryant.
Yes. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Just to kind of let you know a little bit about me. I am a TV producer, but I'm also an author, a new author. I'm a burn survivor, and I also am a life coach, a personal empowerment coach as well. So yeah, I'm super happy to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to this place.
Yeah. So as it pertains to, I mentioned that I'm a burn survivor. So I was burned at 18 months old. Mm-hmm. And I didn't look at myself in the mirror until I was 25 because I didn't want to see my scars. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the story in a nutshell. But pretty much that experience at 25, the revelation that I had was, what I mean by revelation is I really felt like at 25, I felt like, oh, God just put something in my spirit. Like, that's what it felt like, something new, a new impression that I felt. And it was just saying that, Audra, everybody has scars, some on the outside and some on the inside. Absolutely. And so with that is when I started doing my work to look in the mirror. And that was a 6-month process. Right. And from there, I just kind of started to open up and show my scars to other people as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So did anything specifically happen to kind of have you have this revelation, or you just woke up? How do you think you came about it?
So around that time is interesting because I've always felt like I wanted to, just growing up, I was always kind of the person that people would come to and they would ask certain advice. I always had a heart for people that, may have gone through things, or they would feel comfortable talking to me about their experiences, even if they were like very difficult life experiences. And so I always just felt like, I started writing songs at 8 years old, and I always just felt like, maybe I'm just supposed to write songs to encourage people. Encouraging people was always a thing that I loved to do. And it's funny because I have a really, really good friend. We've known each other since we were teenagers, like 14 years old. And I remember specifically, I was tugging on one of my t-shirts, like even if my scar popped out just a little bit, like here, I would tug my t-shirt and pull it up. Mm. And I remember I was in the car with her one day and she looked over at me. She was like, why do you keep doing that? Now, mind you, she has seen me doing this for years. I was 25 at the time. We've known each other since we were 14. Mm-hmm. She's always seen me do this. She had never said anything about it before. And that was just so strange to me. And I was just like, I kind of told her like, well, of course I'm pulling on my shirt. I can't let anybody see my scars. And it was like, it frustrated her. And it was just, but she had never felt frustrated. I had never experienced that with her before. So, and so that connected with the fact that I was just in my room one day and I was thinking about like, oh, I want to, write some songs. I would like to encourage people. It was just a moment that I was like, I don't know if I'm not even sure if I was in the middle of writing a song, but it was one of those things where I was just like, an epiphany hit me. And it was just like, well, how are you going to encourage other people if you won't even look at yourself in the mirror?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then for my friend to have just gotten so frustrated just in that recent time, that time, I was just like, wait a minute. And so then that's when that revelation hit that, look, everybody has scars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that actually thing that made me feel like I wasn't alone. So because I felt like I wasn't alone, that gave me the courage to do the inner work that I needed to do.
So let's stop right there, because that is a huge point. And I think a lot of people feel alone. And that's why they don't feel comfortable with opening up and saying that, because they feel like this is me. This is something shameful, like no one else knows what this looks like or feels like. So how dare I even say it? Mm-hmm. But like you said, everybody has scars. Some have them on their bodies where you physically can see them, but does not mean somebody that doesn't have one where you can see it's not there or even deeper than the ones that you see.
Yeah.
You know Absolutely. What I mean? So that's the thing. And I love your vulnerability, because I think that's what helps people, is to know that you're a real human and like you were there before. So you know what it feels like, and you can help someone go from there to now where you're in a healthier space about it. You know what I'm saying? You have accepted Absolutely. It and moved forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the reasons why I think this platform, I have a podcast called I've Got Scars, Baby. And is one of those things, I think my experience with my scars is different because I have what they call hidden scars. Like I also have my scar goes, to my shoulder and on my neck. But these are all places that I can still hide and you would never really know. You understand?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not the face of the burn community. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times someone who has been burned, you may see they may have facial scars. They may have scars on their extremities, and so it's hard to kind of reconcile. Like, do I fit in with this burn group, or do I fit in with people who, don't have physical scars? You feel kind of like you're in the middle. And so I think my lane is to speak with the people who have stuff that they're hiding in general, whether it's a physical thing they're hiding or an emotional thing that they're hiding because of abuse that may have happened when they were a child or whatever that is. I feel like I connect a little bit more with that group of people because I think a lot of times, because it could just be, you could be hiding an eating disorder. You see what I'm saying? And so my thing is that the hiding for me is really what my experience and my platform is about. It's like the hiding is not healing. Right. You are not healthy when you're hiding everything about you, the truth of who you are, whatever that may be.
I love that.
And so that's who I feel like, my audience. Yeah.
Okay. So good. So let's talk about that, because a lot of times people don't want to do podcasts with other life coaches or things like that. But the truth, or what I believe, is there are so many people, that need help, right?
Yeah.
B, you have a different niche. Your passion is for a certain type of person, not everybody. So there are certain niches for everybody. So there's plenty of space for everybody to do their thing, whatever that looks like. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that you're saying hiding is super powerful, because from my experience, I've learned from my clients, you can tell me if this is something you've experienced or not, but I don't think people even realize that they're hiding it.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that.
Because that's the thing. Glad. They don't even know what the source is. So helping them kind of dig that through is kind of what we're here to do.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that really is, I think, and that's why I have my podcast and I'm talking to people about the stuff, the trauma, because because my revelation was everybody has scars. So making this concept of having scars, having trauma, not taboo anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, well, if you were born Imagine, think about the trauma that a baby experiences.
Right.
You were just chilling in a little space and floating around, having a good old time, like it was peaceful there. And then next thing you know, you come and you hear a woman screaming and somebody pulling you. Even that is trauma. You see what I'm saying? And if we think that we're getting through life without experiencing some sort of trauma, then I don't think that is realistic. And so with that, I really feel like it's like, let's normalize this idea of we've been through some things. Like, it is, a lot of it is not your fault. Yeah. You were probably 3 years old. You could have been 10 years old. You see what I'm saying? And so I just want people to get away from the shame of it.
And I think that's the thing. That's it. Speaking from experience, I've went through a lot of things, and I think I didn't want to acknowledge it because there was shame around it. I'm the bad person, but when in actuality, I don't like to say victim, but I was innocent. I was just there at the wrong time, happened to be in wrong hands. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But afraid to admit that, because then people, you assume that people are going to now look at you in a certain light because this has happened to you. But the weird thing for me is I even had somebody I was dating. And before I could even be vulnerable enough to kind of show who I was, he uttered the words, "Don't tell me you're damaged too." So being in a space, wanting to try to heal, to even open up to someone else besides myself, automatically shut that door right back. Like, go back in your safe space because this is not safe. But then I had to realize, what was his journey?
Exactly.
What is his traumas for him to immediately think in that manner? It's all of our programming. Like you said, everything is little simple things that cause trauma. Simple things like you go to show your mom a picture that you drew and you're so excited about it. You tug on your mom's sleeve or leg and your mom is busy. Life happens, not her fault. But just shunning you away automatically puts in a little baby's head, I'm not good enough. Nobody cares. Exactly. You don't want to see me. I don't have nothing that means anything to no one. And so, like you said, people don't realize little things like that are trauma.
Yeah. Micro trauma.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to understand, over 30 years, 40 years of these little things, that's where the people get the negative self-talk. That's where they get that limiting, I'm not good enough, I'll take what I can get type of attitude.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing. I think that we have a misconception about life, that life is just supposed to be easy and we're supposed to dance around and party and do whatever and everything is cool. But I also feel like, because there's a part of what I talk about is in Scars Make You Beautiful. And what I mean by that is that when you've experienced a certain level of trauma, if you've experienced a difficult moment, even if it was just, I had to work 2 jobs through college in order to pay for my college education. What did that experience give you later on? You see what I'm saying? It probably provided you with a sincere work ethic. Yeah. It probably helped you to become more organized. It probably, so a lot of these things that we've experienced, like you develop compassion when you've been through some things. Yeah. You are able to look at someone else and you've acknowledged that you've been through some things. First of all, you're able to look at someone else and be more compassionate, be more understanding, be more patient. And I think that those are some things, because a lot of times when people, it's just like, I'll use this just as an example. Like if you have someone, they call them trust fund babies or whatnot. And this idea is like, oh, well, your life should be amazing. Right. But because they haven't necessarily had to struggle through some things and work on some stuff and figure out who they really are, sometimes they actually are at a disadvantage than somebody who's had to kind of go through a little something, had to work hard for some things. They appreciate things on a different level. You see what I'm saying? And so, I think we need to understand that having scars or having experienced trauma doesn't make you a bad person or a damaged person, usually is the unaddressed trauma is the stuff that can be difficult to manage when it comes to relationships. That usually poses the problem.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally hear you, but also I want the fact of people thinking, like you said, a trust fund baby had it easier. Mm-hmm. Okay. I've actually seen both. Mm-hmm. Right. And just because there was money or something left, let's not forget what happened in that household where no one was looking and seeing.
That part.
So I don't ever want people to be like, oh, they have an advantage, they have this and that, until you have an opportunity to walk in that person's shoes. You just don't understand.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? So that's where I feel like I'm starting to be better at my position, because I don't prejudge nothing. I'll have a conversation with someone, but I need more information, backgrounds, to really understand where you're at and where you're going. Do you know what I mean? Because one step or one experience could be a whole different something for someone. You know what I'm saying? If you lacked it or you gained it, it just helps people, like you said, be more compassionate, but also at the same time, living life is, I feel like, the best experience that we can get. Mm-hmm. You just have to look at those things as, what do I learn from it? Like you said, what can I take away from this to help me later?
Absolutely. I like to say that scars are the great equalizer.
Yeah.
And that just is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, if that's the case, like you're saying too, how can we learn from this experience? How can this serve us? Because that's the thing, is that a lot of times we think that, oh, I didn't get that loan for my business, so I guess I'm not supposed to have a business. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you not getting that loan for that business at that particular time was supposed to teach you how to be relentless about, hey, this is what I deserve this. Let me go to another bank. Let me go to that. Let me do this. And there's so many people who got turned down initially, and it's like, they were just like, no, I'm not giving up. And so next thing you know, they get what they want. So,
but even a better opportunity. What if that first time was going to put you in a bad space, where then later you're like, oh my God, I put myself in this, So I never, ever look at anything clearly. Bad things happen. My days are not, like you said, nobody's skipping down life. Mm-mm. Life happens. But I always try to look at it like, okay, cool. This happened. What can I gain?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because like you mentioned, you were like, this is something that you were always into. So it was something that I had always been into. And I remember having a conversation with my sister and saying, maybe all of the things that I experienced were because of my purpose, so that I could be more empathetic to people, because it's different to say you can feel someone, but it's different when you actually have been there and you know what it feels like.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I agree with you, because I feel the same way. And like, because, I could say to myself, what kind of, like, how nuts is it that I went pretty much like the first 25 years of my life without looking at myself? Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you sit in that for a second, it's just like, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you do that? You see what I'm saying? Like, I could do that, or I can say, well, why didn't it happen earlier in my life? Yeah. Why didn't I get the revelation when I was 10? Why didn't I, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I know that it all happened for a reason. Mm-hmm. And if it didn't happen the way it happened, you and I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't supposed to happen sooner. I wasn't supposed to, at 15, say, oh, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and then I'm fine. Mm-hmm. No, it was supposed to happen just the way it happened. And I'm very grateful, because I'm able to speak to people in ways. And like you said, a lot of times it's a part of your purpose, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. So tell us a little bit about your book.
Yes. So my book is called I've Got Scars, Baby: How to Embrace Your Scars and Power Your Purpose.
Yes.
And it's a self-help memoir. So I share my story, but at the end of every chapter, I have questions for people to ask themselves.
Oh, nice.
You mentioned, sometimes you don't know that you have scars, right? And sometimes when you hear someone else or you see someone else sharing their stuff, it kind of brings up your own stuff that you may not even have known was there. And so I want people to kind of use this as a guide to just kind of do a little introspective work, because we all have to. I think that's important. Like emotional intelligence, I think, is the thing. Like, if you can understand, like, okay, I'll be tripping when I watch this show. Like, I'm probably going to ask you
attention to your triggers.
Right? Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, this makes me feel this way. And so when I feel this way, I'm probably going to say this to you. But this has nothing to do with you. It really has to do with me.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. And so writing this book for me, like, it was really a therapeutic process. It made I went into myself and found some stuff that I didn't even totally know was there.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I feel like the work is so important. And especially when I think about relationships, whether it's, romantic or just with friends and family, it like, when child, I was tripping. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you literally operate in life different when you are aware of yourself.
Different.
Yeah.
And it's good. So how did you gain your awareness? Like, what did you do to help you get to those steps of being more mindful and aware of those type of things?
So starting from the point of looking at myself in the mirror for the first time, that was a process. It was a 6-month process. And it started very much just like, instead of getting out of the shower and, with my towel wrapped around me and completely bypassing a mirror and putting on my pajamas and all of that, I actually consciously kept on my towel and went into the bathroom and stood in front of the bathroom mirror. And I would glance. And just little glances over a period of time led to me being able to kind of touch my scars and get more comfortable with them. And then I had to start revealing my scars to the world. And then I had to start embracing the attention. That was the thing. I didn't want the attention. And so I wanted to just be normal.
Yeah.
Normal, right? And so I had to start learning how to embrace the attention. And moving forward, I'm a songwriter. So I wanted to write a song. And I wanted to write a song about my scars because writing for me was always very therapeutic. It was just a way to express myself in a way that just speaking, I couldn't necessarily articulate it. Right. And so it took me a long time. It took me probably about 10 years to be able to write a song that felt right, because every other song I wrote was like, oh, woe is me. I got this scar. Lord, help me. It was sad. And it was like, nobody want to hear that song. Right. And so
that's not true.
We don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a song that felt good to me.
Right. Okay.
Right. You see what I'm saying? And so I didn't want to hear the song. Okay. So me continuing to journey through my healing process, I wound up writing a song called Scars. And whenever I would go and perform it, people would come up to me and they would talk about their scars. Or they will show me something that you see what I'm saying? And then me being able to go back to the hospital in Detroit where I had my surgeries. I had 6 surgeries to Children's Hospital, and I performed my song for their burn event. You see what I'm saying? So these experiences led me, they were just connected. And then I said, okay, if people are showing me their scars, then there has to be something to this. I finally shared a photo of my scars on Facebook and I got all types of comments. And I'm just like, whoa, like people are are connecting with this. And so I had to do something with it. And so that started after the song was released, I did a music video for that. And that was the first time I'm really showing my scars to the world in a sense. And then after that, I did my podcast, I've Got Scars, Baby. And then it was just like, okay, let me really tell this story for real. Right. And that's where the book came from. And I didn't want it to just be about me, because it's not always just about me. It's about me, but not about me at the same time. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
And so, so that's where that came from.
That's awesome. Okay, great. So definitely I'll add that to our show notes.
Okay.
So that way people can get to it, see it. Anybody can, get to it that needs that kind of help.
Absolutely.
Okay. So one last question I do want to ask for you.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, when someone says to live and love life, what does that mean to you?
I think that means to fully accept yourself. And accepting yourself and being in integrity with yourself. What that means I think it's being in integrity with yourself and with others. So does this feel right to me? Is this am I at peace with this? That's more of a spiritual thing. Everything is different. Yeah. So it's not cookie cutter, right?
Yeah.
So do I feel at peace with this experience, this situation, this person, this whatever this is?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you live like that, loving life is so much easier.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not disregarding yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You are embracing yourself. Mm-hmm. And when you're in that space, what?
I can love everything about you. Yeah.
Okay. I can love you. Okay.
And the good thing about that is that I try to tell people, when you get to this space, you're not in competition with anybody.
Absolutely not.
There is and that's not like I'm better than you, you're better than me. It's not even like that. You don't need to even be in that space, because you have so much love in yourself for yourself that you're good either way.
Yep.
You're good either way. And that's what I try to tell people is it's hard to explain, but when you're there, you can feel it.
Absolutely.
And you truly can't love someone if you don't love yourself or even know what that feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I totally agree.
Awesome.
I totally agree.
Okay. So tell the listeners of where they could find you, look for you if they want to hear your story, possibly Happy for Life coaching, whatever.
Absolutely. You can find me. You can go to my website, audrabryant.com, AUDRABRYANT.com. If you want to purchase the book, you can go to audrabryant.com/store, and you can get a signed copy, or if you just want to get it on Amazon, feel free. You can check out the podcast. Everything can be accessed through my website, or you can just go straight to YouTube and put in I've Got Scars, Baby. There's so many stories. We've done about 40 episodes. There's so many stories about people sharing their particular scars. So I wanted that to be a podcast where people are like, oh my God, I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. I see this person has this experience, that experience, that experience. And so, but it's all about how they made it through what they needed to learn the lesson and empower themselves. So everything you need is on my website. You can also follow me on Instagram, Audra A. Bryant. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Okay, listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning back into Motivational Mondays. I will have all of her information on our show notes. If you do definitely want to reach out to her, she has some good information and some tools and gems to share. So thank you guys again. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Bye, guys.
If you love the Living and Loving Life podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.